All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to City Hall. Thank you so much for taking time out of your afternoon to join us for this staff workshop on the transportation impact fee and the ordinance that we are considering at the City of Panama City. Just as a kind of a reminder of some of the dates, back on February 5th, we met here in this room with many of y'all and had the initial staff workshop. And the feedback we got there, a lot of it was provide an exemption. I'm just going to kind of summarize here. But before I do that, let me just remind some of the folks that are here. So I'm Jonathan Hayes. I'm the city manager. We're joined by Brandy Waldron, one of our assistant city managers. One of the departments that she oversees is development services. That's Michael Fuller. He's the director of that. And then Miss Haley, Joanne Haley, is the planning and zoning manager for the city. We're joined by Michael Burke as well, assistant city attorney, and all of the planning board responsibilities in regards to legal advice for the city and council fall under him. We're also thankful to have Vincent Spar with Kimley Horn, who is here with us today. They're the ones that did this study over the last year plus. And then we've got Miss Grant, who is our ambassador here at City Hall, is going to be running the timer for us. So we're looking forward to spending the next couple hours with y'all, answering questions that you have, sharing the information that we gathered from the very first meeting we had with y'all, as well as the roundtable discussion, and then just talking through it. And we're actually working right now with our IT team. They're going to be putting up the red line version of the ordinance up on the screens. You can kind of see exactly what we've changed and what we've proposed in light of our staff meetings that we've had, as well as the feedback from each of y'all. So again, on February 5th, we had a workshop here, and some of the big items we heard was to provide an exemption for single-family home on existing lots of record. And so what we're thinking and what we're proposing the change to be is that credit will be provided for any home on existing single-family residential lot of record less than 2,400 square foot. And any single-family home greater than 2,400 square foot would be required to pay the impact fee. We provide an exemption for affordable housing as defined in Florida Statute 420.9071, and an exemption for an accessory dwelling on the property less than 1,200 square foot. Provide a credit for non-residential uses previously existing on a parcel. Provide a credit for public and municipal facilities, and then add a provision stating that any decision rendered by the planning board concerning the impact fee would be appealable to the circuit court. Additionally, on February 26th, we had a roundtable meeting here at City Hall, as I indicated we would, with a slightly smaller group of representatives from each of the groups that are here today. So we had representatives from the Bay Contractors Association, the Bay Builders Association, the Bay County Chamber of Commerce, D.R. Horton, as well as senior city staff. And so that was a great time of conversation. Some additional feedback was given. We shared with them some of what we were thinking. And then the additional feedback received and to consider is to provide a credit for development where a DO has been issued but hasn't yet been platted. Provide a credit for a lot split as defined in Florida Statute 116, or is that our code?
It's our code.
Sorry, our code, 116-3, the Land Development Code, and where previously platted lots were combined and then returned to separate parcels. And then we would not begin collecting the impact fee no sooner than October 1st of 2025. So this is that follow-up workshop that we want to have with you, each and every one of y'all here today. We look forward to a time of conversation and discussion and feedback. And one thing I would just say, if someone does come up and share an idea or maybe push back on one of the changes that's been suggested, and you disagree with that, please come to the podium and say that. If someone says something and no one else kind of counters that, it sounds like that there's kind of agreement with that. And I've always felt like there's no reason to fear debate as long as that debate is done with respect and based on facts and reason and logic. So we look forward to our time together today. And I would just ask Mr. Fuller if there's anything that I left out or anything that you want to briefly go over, sir. Please do.
No, I think you summarized it pretty well, and would like to hear feedback or comment on the changes we've made and whatever comments y'all have. I think I emailed it to you, Jerome, so you should be able to.
Yep. Go ahead and put that up then.
Yeah.
And I think what I would say maybe is maybe if there's a representative here from there you are. Yep, Kurt, with Bay Builders. If you want to kind of if I'm just going to volunteer you to kind of lead the way with some of your thoughts and feedback after our two meetings. And I see Patrick, I see from the chamber, and anyone from Bay Contractors. If y'all want to say anything, please do, and then we'll open it up to the floor. And again, people can speak multiple times, but we're just going to do 3 minutes to make sure we kind of keep a good rhythm going and give everyone a chance to speak. You don't have to give your address, just your name is fine. And who you're
Kurt Hartog with the Bay Building Industries Association. I do appreciate the last meeting that we had. There was some good information. I have a few, I guess, housekeeping things that I'm concerned about with the ordinance. To me, there's still some gray areas in this ordinance. Number one, section 113A-6C, we had talked about remodeling and alterations no longer being included in the fee, that there'd be no fee for that, but it still says that there would be, in change of occupancy, that there'd still be a fee for that, for remodeling and alterations. The second thing under section 113A, reconstruction of a dwelling on an existing lot. We did talk about that a lot, but it looks like you have a 36-month grace period, that if a house is not built within 36 months after the house has been demolished, that there would still be an impact fee. Well, there's a lot of vacant lots in the Cove that houses were demolished after Michael that are still sitting empty. I guess we don't feel that those should be required to pay an impact fee for an empty lot like that. So I'd like you to look at that as well. Section 113A-10A, just the wording, it says public facilities and public facility capital cost would be covered under the impact fee. But later on, it says, states impact fees must be solely used for capacity improvements. So what are the public facilities that would be included under, the transportation capacity improvements? I guess I'm a little unclear.
Which one? What was that number?
That was on section 113A-10A. Number one says public facilities and public facilities capital needs or capital costs would be covered. But later on in there, under C2, states impact fees must be solely used for capital improvements. So again, a little question mark on that. Under that same section, administration of the impact fee program is included. You would use the fees from this for the administration. Is this administration going to be done with existing staff? Will you be hiring new staff to administer this fee? Down the line, there's really a gray area on the refunds that are in there. It really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Who notifies the current owner after 7 years that they're eligible for a refund? Who's going to notify them? Then the current owner, the current owner of the property is eligible for the refund, but they have to come up with the original invoice or receipt on when those impact fees were paid. How is that going to happen? So the next, probably the biggest thing after that is the affordable exemption that we talked about at the last meeting. Now it states, we're going off of the statute 420-9071, but even that statute doesn't really state what affordable housing is or should be. My recommendation to the commission is that we would exempt any residential project that's being done by a 401c3 organization. Just make it simple. Just, anything, it could be under 1,400 square feet if you want to. We don't want somebody using it to build a 3,000 square foot home under 501c3, but anything under 1,400 feet, that would cover a lot of our nonprofits out there who want to do residential.
You said 1,400. Did you mean under 2,400?
No, I'm just saying affordable housing to me is going to be something under 1,400 or 1,500 square feet.
Okay.
That would be totally exempt. Doesn't matter if you're building it proper, if you're building in North Panama City, but just make it clean and easy, just exempt the 501c3s
All right.
from that kind of square footage. Also, we talked about commercial development. And, we talked about, why we want to limit the possibility of somebody building commercial property in Panama City North. They need more clinics. They need more daycares. We need to look at trying to greatly reduce the cost of those facilities, and that would be the service-based construction. If somebody wants to build a movie theater out there, okay, well then they'll probably have to pay a fee, but if somebody wants to build a doctor's office or a daycare center or something like that, should be exempt or be greatly reduced, because that's a service that area is desperately going to need, and it's going to limit the traffic coming in and out of Panama City if we have those facilities in Panama City North. So that's pretty much what I got right now, Jonathan, so thank you, appreciate it.
Absolutely, Kurt. Anybody from Bay County contractors or from the chamber that would like to weigh in? Not at this time? All right. Anybody else?
You got somebody right here.
Yep.
Paul Sims, who would like to speak to you.
Yep. Anybody wants to come up now, please come on. Come on up to the podium, sir.
This will take me longer than 3 minutes. I have handouts to give you. I'm gonna have somebody give you to start with.
Sure.
And I've got people that will give me their 3 minutes. And how many minutes it will take me is about 15. You want them to raise their hand? Or do you want me to come up at each one I'm telling you to give me my 3 minutes?
You want to give a 15-minute presentation?
It won't take 15 minutes, but it might take 8, 9, 10 minutes to give you this paperwork and hand this out.
Well, you can go ahead and have someone bring it up right now if you want, sir. That's fine. Okay.
We'll get this to you. Could you help me, please, sir?
Yeah, I think so.
Give each one of them that. Give each one of them that. Give each one of them that, it's up there. Give each one of them this. That whole stack. So, you can, I don't need anything back, but give each one of them that. This one. Well, the problem is, I've got to, give me one back. So, you get somebody else first while I get this paperwork ready, and then I'm gonna keep one of them. So I get from them.
I've just got one question here.
Please come on up, sir. Only because we're streaming live and people online are watching.
I've got this one out. You take this, whatever you got.
I was questioning.
What was your first name?
Bill Pitts.
Hey, Bill.
I was questioning the 2,400 square foot. You didn't say that was under roof or with the garage or what?
Heated and cooled.
Yeah, heated and cooled.
That needs to be specified then.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And our plan is, after some of the initial comments, is we're just gonna go through the red line as well and just let y'all see exactly kind of real-time changes that we're making to it. Anybody else want to speak while they're getting their paperwork to order?
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Brian Knox
Hey,
with
Brian.
Coastal Classic Homes and the Bay Building Industries Association. First off, thank you all for these workshops, the roundtable. It really means a lot to us as an organization, to me as a business owner, as a builder, that we get to have some input. We get to at least help have a say in the conversation. In the roundtable, when y'all discussed the credit for what is called the missing middle, that $23.99 and below, that was just for existing lots of record, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So at least in Panama City proper, my suggestion would be, my ask would be, we need that to be across the board for new or existing, because we need more of that product, and we don't need to make that product more expensive, whether it's a new or whether it's an existing lot, or we split a lot and we're adding a new one, or we're doing a small development. I do very small developments of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 homes on lots, and to raise the prices for those, I think it is only going to hurt the residents of Bay County, because that is cost that will be passed down to them, and it will price some people out of owning a home.
So I just want to be clear, Brian. So you're saying, sir, in Panama City proper, anything 22,399 feet or below, it shouldn't apply. That's
my opinion.
thought that's kind of where we landed.
But I thought it was just for existing lots of record.
Yes.
Yes.
That's where I'm getting.
Gotcha. So I mean, but if we split it, we talked about, if you split the lot, we talked about the new address might apply. But you're saying, thank you, 2399, everything, whether we split it, whether it's not. Okay.
Because if we truly care about that missing middle, we want to produce homes that are attainable, affordable, and attainable for people. Why not make it across the board?
So beyond the existing lot exemption, so is DR here today? Yeah, they made it somewhere. Oh, there you are in the back. I mean, they made a good point at the round table about the fact that they kind of focus on that area, and they're going to take a vacant lot and create new development in that, or new lots in there that were not anticipated before this was created. So you're saying if they come in, or you come in, I guess for that matter, and have a subdivision, brand new subdivision, creating new lots on a
Well, in
vacant.
Panama City proper,
Parcel.
you're not getting these hundreds and hundreds of new lot developments.
Yeah.
There's just not that space.
Okay.
Nope, I got it. Great thought. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, you ready for me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sure. Maybe not.
I need to pass these down.
Yeah, one of each, just for each of us.
My name's Paul Sims, and I have been building in Bay County since 1973. I have the largest project that I have done has been an $80 million project. That was Billswoods Manor Estates on Highway 231. I've built over 1,000 houses. I've built restaurants, gas stations. I built the Y. I built where Ripley's Believe It or Not's at. I built a bunch of stuff, okay? Most of what I'm hearing is these people don't want any of the, here I found it. This, if you got this, just put it away. That's just for you to look at and have later, okay? This is the letter that I received from the city. It's correct, nothing wrong with it. I just want you to have that because you're going to need that. I wanted to tell you that right now, Florida and Texas have more houses sitting unsold than the rest of the United States of America. And you can push this offline. I'm going to put it right here. I don't think we need any impact fees. I want you to think about whenever, how many of you elected officials up there are up here today? Are any of you elected officials up here?
Paul, the purpose of this one really is just to wordsmith the ordinance.
I didn't read the ordinance and hadn't seen it and hadn't been here before. I'm just telling you what they've told me. I've handed you something that looks like this, okay?
Yeah.
Right. But to answer your questions, Mr. Sims, none of us are elected officials. We're
Okay.
here at the direction of the city
I
commission.
just wanted to make sure I know
Yeah.
the only one I could pick out of a lineup would be the mayor because I swore him in.
Right.
Okay, but this little piece of card right here, there's 3 building industries in Bay County, 3. And it would behoove the county commissioners, if you would talk to them, whenever you're bidding something out, let us know. There's, in Bay County, there's 933 certified general contractors, and 76 of them have addresses in Panama City, Florida. Now, I'm not a general contractor, I'm a building contractor, so I could have remodeled the Martin Theater, but I can't go over 3 stories high. And there's a lot more of those. And then you have certified contractors. And the reason I'm doing this is, it's obvious you're doing this because you need money, okay? We all need money. It's tough out there. I've never had a house sit 500 days, never. I got some people in this room that's got 4 of them sitting about that long. I went out, anyway, there's a bunch of houses sitting here. Every subdivision is having a hard time. I gave you something in black and white that looks like this. Go to that. The county already has this piece of paper. I want you to know that and make you aware of. The county has this. They've been put on notice. A contractor in Miami is suing the city of Miami for $76 million for overcharging on building permits. I hope he's here. Is the building official for the county here today? Speak up. I thought he was going to be here.
Mr. Sims, we're the city.
I know you are.
I don't have any authority or
I
this has nothing to do with
understand.
the county.
No, I understand it. What I'm telling you is, this is for you.
Okay.
The money that you collect can only go to a certain place, and I want you to be aware of that. You cannot take this money out of the general fund or whatever you're going to be able to do with it. And I think I gave you this. piece of paper that looks like this. And this is where in the county, Ross Pritchard, Rick Holmes, and Jamie Sasser sent an email up to Ian Creelan and asked him what did he do with the money that he took out of the building fund. And he sends back, he took out $4,466,704 and put it in the reserve future. Well, you can't take that out. It's against the state statute for you to take. I'm putting you on notice because it looks like y'all are going to be sued too. That's the way it is. I want you to know that this is not good. And so doing this, literally, truthfully, I'm following the Miami suit. The attorney threw it out. The judge threw it out. Then he said you have to come back and do this. Then they did that. Then he threw it out again. Now it's in the last phase, and if the judge lets that win, that's going to set a precedent in our suit against the cities and the counties all throughout the rest of Florida. And I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. They could have reduced the building permits on everybody in Bay County, not just the county, every city, by 50% for the amount of money. Griffith is on tape where he said, I'll just take the money and write the builders an IOU. They got plenty of money. I don't know if y'all knew that or not.
I did not know that, sir.
Yeah, well, I want Panama City to thrive. I grew up in Panama City. I was raised at 1911 Calhoun Avenue, bought my first house at 1712 Clay Avenue. I love Panama City. Everybody in Springfield, Callaway Park, when we leave town and go on vacation, we don't tell people we're from Springfield. We tell them we're from Panama City. We don't want you to crash, but we also want to tell, I'm telling you because you have to tell the commissioners, but policy, tradition, staff, and advisors are 4 vocabulary words that I hear a lot from the different cities. Well, the staff recommended it. It's a policy we always did. Well, just because you always did that policy, you don't need to continue. The last thing I've got is in this envelope. I opened it. I'm going to show it. I'm going to see what it says here. Somebody handed me this, and I just cut it open, and then I'll sit down. This says, wow. This says the governor has announced that he is going to remove 70 boards. Have any of y'all heard that? The governor has said he's going to remove any boards today. Notice, there's a post office box for Doge in Panama City. The number is 15969 zip 32406. Now, if you want to write that down, you're more than welcome, I guess, to write Doge in the city. I don't know if this is true or not. But the post office box would be 15969 32406, and I have no idea where that's at. So, not that Doge is coming here. I don't know who that's going to be, but it ain't going to be me. I don't think we need any of that. And I think that the city every city would be far better off to not just advertise in the paper, but figure out, call somebody, everybody in here, most of them would know that. Even you can find me, you know who I am. I built a house for her and her husband, and she lives in the Billsman. She was not ready to move. I hope she still likes her house. But I guess that's all I have to say. And you can keep that other information that I gave you. It's, I didn't quite take 5, 6 minutes, maybe 8 minutes, I hope, but I did it
Just
pretty
shy of
quick.
6 minutes.
Do you have any questions for me?
No, sir. I appreciate you providing this information, and we'll be sure to pass it along.
Oh, okay. Well, I gave you one thing there, and I had it like this. Take the clips off of this and put them up here for them so I can show them this. I think I gave you all this, but I got this for the audience to see it. it appears to me this information came from the county, did not come from me.
Okay.
Came from the county. Let me have it. And you've got it up there, and this information says there's 36,592 people that reside in Panama City. And y'all have 714.
Mr. Sims, I just need you to use the mic, sir, because there's
I'm
people,
sorry.
it's okay, people are just listening online and they
Y'all
need to be
can
able to hear.
Look at that, man.
You want me to hold it up for you, sir?
You hold it up.
Okay.
How many people, look at that, turn it around for me to see a minute.
Okay.
There's 36,592 people live in the city, and there's 714 employees that they have. The county has 196,328 people, and they only have 695 employees. And you can go on, and I think I gave you that.
You did. I don't know where you got this information, but we only have 580 employees. And I know that the Bay County employees, that number lacks any of the 6 constitutional officer positions. So you got to add the sheriff's department, the tax collector, the supervisor of elections, the superintendent of schools, and the property appraiser. So
Some of those people are the ones that gave me this. So I didn't make this
I'm
up.
just telling you, sir. I know how many employees I have at the city, and I meet with Mr. Micah every month. So I don't know what to tell you about this information. It's just not correct. So
Well, it's just what they gave me. I don't know what's correct or what's not correct.
Right.
I don't have any idea.
yeah.
But the other thing they were talking about was the county has a county manager and an assistant county manager. And the city has a city manager and 2 assistant managers. And that's the end of all I got to say. And I appreciate you giving me your time.
Oh, you're welcome, Mr. Sims. Thank you. Could you pick up his thing? Thank you, sir. All right. Anybody else have any comments? I know I'll just say in addition to the roundtable where a lot of these groups that Mr. Sims mentioned were involved, additionally, I went to the Bay County Contractors Association. We've had lots of conversation with the Bay Builders, and also 2 or 3 times we went to the Bay County Chamber for the Government Affairs Committee to interact and engage with the citizens for sure, and the representatives of their organizations. So, all right. Anybody else have any comments? Otherwise, I'd like for us to go through this ordinance. Oh, come on up, sir.
I'll be pretty quick. Again, it's Chase Gruber, Fisher Homes.
Hey, Chase.
Thank you all for having us here again today.
Yes, sir.
Something I brought up last week was just looking at a fee analysis across all the counties and other municipalities. Were y'all able to complete that? And I apologize, I haven't read any of the paperwork or anything, but how the fees compared to the average sales prices in different markets and how those relate. Did y'all do any analysis on that by chance?
We did, and I don't defer to you, Mr. Fuller or Vincent, Mr. Spar with Kimley Horn, but that was done. But I do know that some of the local communities, like the fees they haven't been updated in like 10, 15 plus years. So, we compared them to that to some degree, but they haven't been updated. You're supposed to update it every 4 or 5 years.
Right.
And so that hasn't been done. But I don't know, Vincent, or if you or Mr. Fuller want to speak to that more?
I'll just add, so we didn't compare them to sales price of homes, but we did do a comparative review of other local governments that have transportation impact fees as well.
Okay.
And like Mr. Hayes just said, the problem is many of the local governments in the area have not undertaken an impact fee study in about 10 or so years. And since it's based largely on the cost of constructing new roadways, new roadway construction was a lot lower than it is now.
Right.
Construction costs have gone up astronomically, so that drives up the cost of the impact fee as well. But no, we have not done an analysis on sales price of homes.
And the where I'm going with this is that if you just compare it quickly to Walton County, what they did with the mobility fee, and you look at that fee and you compare it to the average sales price, their percentage is way lower than what you are proposing. When we're talking about $5,000 for a townhome in Panama City, which is about 10% of a cost increase. And if you, or not 10%, excuse me, 2%. And you look at the single family portion of that and just compare those two to Walton County or any of the other counties or municipalities, it's just an absorbently high percentage of that sales price and cost. And it's very tough for a home builder to absorb that and make anything work and be able to offer, new home opportunities for the residents here. And that's my biggest point there. I mean, obviously everybody, we need money, but there's got to be another way to go at it than making, one certain sector of the industry pay for that. That's my point on that. Brian brought up something about the 2,400 square feet and making that anything $23.99 or below exempt from this. I think that's where he was going with that.
In Panama City proper.
In Panama City property. Does that also include attached single family as well? Townhomes?
Good.
Yeah, single family.
Yeah, it'd be,
Attached.
So anything,
Yeah.
anything under 2,400 square
Correct.
feet
Yeah.
does not count. Okay. And then the last question would be the start date. You said October 25th, or excuse me, October 2025.
2025.
Is that anything?
Not sooner than that. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, as soon as you have a development order that is prior to a adoption of this, would be excluded from that. Is that the
Correct.
method? And
Which
then,
is, we did that similar with the planning and zoning fee adjustment, as well as
For plain.
the one we did for right-of-way use permit fees as well.
okay,
Kind of like put it out a little bit.
and so that will be paid for by the builder at the time of permit. That's the
Correct.
not okay, got it. Anyways, those are my I guess my feedback on it. Obviously, I think the fees should be lower. I think we need to push it out a little bit and have a more hard to find date of when this goes into effect. I know you're working on that, but
Yep.
that's part of it.
Awesome.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you, Chase. And, I think one thing I want to clarify too is that, I think that I don't think it's as simple as we need more money. That's not the premise of. The premise of this is that should the city's general fund pay for any and all types of development? And I think there's agreement that the answer to that is no. And that's kind of what the city has been doing over the last many decades is we've been covering that if there's anything needed or having to work through it with the DO process with the developer. And yes, a lot of this is in and around Panama City North, but we talked about transportation impact fees helping to increase capacity, even in Panama City proper, and there are going to be needs for that. One of the specific examples we talked about with the roundtable was, the truth is right now Star Avenue from 231 all the way, into the Callaway area should probably be 4-laned, if not 6-laned, because we know that growth is coming. And so, if there were ways to work towards that now and work with both the developer or multiple developers and the county on that, because it's a county road, we know that demand, especially as Tyndall continues to grow and come back online. So, all right, any other yes, sir.
Come on, Bill Pitts again.
Hey, Bill.
I want to go back to what Mr. Sims was talking about there, about the impact fees. I'm kind of like Paul. I've been building here for 50 years. I'm born and raised here. And I've been building houses longer than most of y'all are alive. But whenever y'all start talking about impact the impact fees, we'll take a lot that's y'all been collecting taxes on that's undeveloped. We take this house, put a quality home on it, and then y'all start charging taxes on it. And you're going to continue drawing taxes on it on and on and on, and it's going to go up every year because of the inflation. So I'm with Mr. Sims. We don't need any more impact fees. It's hard enough with the hoops that the builder has to jump through just to get a house started this day and time. I mean, if you've never built a home, you don't know where we're coming from. But you can talk to any of the builders here. Most of them won't say a word, but Paul and I will.
Thank you, Mr. Pitts.
Hey, Jonathan Garrett Anderson.
Hey, Garrett.
Appreciate y'all having another workshop on this. So I've said a lot over the last couple workshops, but I'm really concerned with the rational nexus of how this study came up with the dollar amounts. I understand as you grow, you need infrastructure and roads, But, as developers, you got to do pro forma. If you own a business, you got to do pro forma. What makes sense? How does it make sense? How can you get that price point in for folks to get in housing? And again, every $10,000 you put on a home is $70 a month right now, plus insurance, plus tax ad valorem. That's a big deal. When your median family income, it's probably 40 to 50 grand, I think I read. These impact fees that you're doing or thinking about, you're going to cultivate more apartments, more high-end density housing. It's going to have an adverse effect, in my opinion, to home ownership. And business-wise, I looked on the chart today. I want to add on to my office 2,500 square feet. I'm looking at a $12,000 to $15,000 impact fee just so I can hire 5 to 6 more people. And the road on 390 is going to be done. I don't understand. I'd like you to really think about the amount of money you're trying to collect, and I am concerned about the future. A fair tax. Everyone wants a fair tax, and this tax is going to people who are trying to grow our community, trying to get economic growth going. So I do hope you consider that, because it will impact some performers. It will kill some deals. Thank you.
Thank you, Garrett. Yes, sir?
Found on my last page. Sorry, I don't have enough to give all of you. This was an article I cut out of the newspaper several years ago. And I'd just like to know what happened and when's it coming. FEMA to repair 350 damaged Panama City roads. Additional improvements are around the corner for hundreds of local road damages. Almost 5 years ago after Hurricane Michael. In a press release on Thursday, Panama City officials announced that the city won an appeal to get funding from the Federal Emergency Management Agency at FEMA to repair more than 350 roads throughout the city that were damaged in October 2018 by a Category 5 storm. It equates to at least 25 miles of total roads that FEMA is now directed to restore. City Manager Mark McQueen said this is a good news for the city. McQueen noted that the city was able to win the appeal, which was overseen by a 3-judge panel with the United States Civil Board of Contractor Appeals, because it had accurate information to prove how the roads were affected by Hurricane Michael. Prior to Michael, the city surveyed the roads and gave each a score, also referred to as a pavement condition index. That ranged from 0 to 100. It then completed the same survey following the storm. Queen said that the city put in an original claim with FEMA for the roads in 2020. That was denied, which led to the appeal. It also said that the 3-panel judge ruled that FEMA must restore all Panama City roads that deteriorated by at least 10 points in between the time of 2 surveyors. This added up to more than 350 roads. According to McQueen, roads typically degrade 1 to 3 points a year under normal conditions. We are very thankful to the panel of 3 federal judges who heard our case, he said. They found that this city had a hard data that showed clearly that the roads were damaged. As of Friday, he did not know repairs of, this Saturday, he did not know repairs of the roads might begin or how. Much of the cost of the panel's decision is now forcing FEMA to acknowledge that they do have to replace the roads. McQueen said, we now have to go back and work with FEMA to do a scope and cost for each of the roads. Whatever the actual cost is, FEMA is responsible for paying. I believe that it will be literally millions of dollars in recovery to the city's road work. Where did they pave any roads yet?
So great question, Mr. Sims, and they haven't yet, but I am glad to announce that as late of last week, we finally got to an agreement with FEMA on the exact method of repair for all of that. We kind of went back and forth with them over the last year or so. But thanks to the support of Senator Scott and former Senator Rubio and the new Senator Ashley Moody and Congressman Dunn, as well as some DHS officials in the Trump administration, we were able to turn a corner and get us all on the same page. And we're going to be working on those bid docs here in the very near future, and that will happen sometime this year. So
And
we're
you've got
really
this
excited
all
about
worked
that.
out. We will get just about something.
351 segments. We estimate it to be around 10 million, plus or minus, for all those road segment repairs. The beauty of it is, though, the type of project it is, because of, let's say the cost of asphalt has gone up, which we know it has since the storm.
Oh, sure.
It's an actual reimbursement. So if it ends up costing 12 million, we'll get reimbursed for the 12 million, even though we estimate that project to be about 10 million are some of the latest numbers. And I want to clarify, the roads were not damaged as a direct result of Hurricane Michael. It was rather the debris removal process that damaged not only the roads, but also some of the curbs and the sidewalks and the gutters. All of those and drainage inlets, and all of those have already been repaired. So the roads is kind of the last step in that.
You
So
need to get that out to the media so the media will tell people.
yeah, well, like I said, it was last Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday with FEMA, and so we're working on getting the bid docs together, finalizing a few items of communication and paperwork with FEMA, and then we plan to do that for sure.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, sir. All right, and again, as we can kind of go through this, because we want, there's nothing that we want to hide or anything. We want to show y'all exactly this 24 pages. And so as we go through it, we've got the red line here. Who's driving this? Are we yours, or is it just
Not mine,
yours?
no, I've got-
Okay.
I don't believe anybody out here in this crowd can read that up there by the
Well, if you turn around, it's behind you as well, and you're a lot closer to those. And we'll also email this out as well to everybody. But I don't know if we just, Mike, if you want to
Maybe
just
just
go
walk
through
through
some of the highlights. And again, we've got some additional feedback here today, and so that's been very helpful. Thank you. You sure can. Go ahead, sir.
And Jerome, will you scroll down to page 13?
My name is Jim Everett. I'm a commercial real estate broker here in Panama
Hey,
City.
Jim.
And I have been for 50 years plus. And are we addressing any commercial issues today at all?
We're addressing everything.
everything.
Everything?
Any comments, any feedback, all 24 pages. We want to hear what you think.
Okay, can I speak about?
Sure,
commercial
absolutely,
just
sir.
1 minute?
Do you have a particular page, or are you just
No,
talking
sir.
generically? Okay, that's fine.
I should have seen this document. I have not seen this document. I asked you guys to let me know about it too. You remember I sent you an email saying, send me something, let me know what's going on. But anyway, let's talk about gasoline and convenience stores first thing. Y'all, at our last meeting here, you guys were proposing a $538,848 impact fee for a gasoline and convenience store. Let me tell you what that means, what you said. First of all, let's talk about the words gasoline and convenience store. The word convenience store means just that. It's in the neighborhood. It don't create trips. I don't think y'all have got a traffic study anywhere that will indicate that a gasoline and convenience store, I'll use the word drastically increases traffic trips. You normally customarily go to a gasoline and convenience store on your way home, on the way to work. You're already on that street. And y'all used this 23rd Street and Jenks Avenue as your example. Well, people are going home and up and down 23rd Street. They're not driving from Callaway to go to Jenks and 23rd Street to the gasoline and convenience store. They're not coming from the beach to 23rd Street and Jenks Avenue to the convenience store. It's a convenience location. That's how it's got its name. Anyway, you used the number $538,000. In English, in the new world of the new gasoline and convenience stores that you're talking about 7.5% to 12.5% of the total investment. That makes all of these new gasoline and convenience stores that you're talking about in the city or out of the city, but in the city, economically unfeasible. They would not be here. They would not be here. but take into consideration what they really do. You get your 1% merchants tax, you get your city sales tax, you get your ad valorem tax, you get your gasoline per gallon tax, and you get employees to work and live in our neighborhood. These kind of numbers are completely way out of line. I mean, they don't even rhyme with right. So if we could, I'd like to get involved in being involved in a commercial roundtable, and however way we might need to do that. There's a lot of commercial real estate brokers that I know that would like to be involved in telling y'all more of the same thing. Same thing, there's no sense in going on. It really needs to be talked about, because y'all are talking about putting, instead of a city to people want to come do business and locate their business and spend their money, and just so you'll know this too. In today's world, new gasoline and convenience stores that you're seeing all over the city, they are plus or minus, depending on the size of the property, size of the store, a $6 million investment. Not $600,000, a $6 million investment. Look at the ad valorem tax that you're gaining from those kind of investments. And these people wouldn't be coming here if they thought people didn't need to be buying gasoline or convenience products on their way home or on the way to work. Again, give us an opportunity on the commercial side to be involved in a roundtable so we could directly discuss those items. But the gentlemen that have talked about the residential, they're correct. I could provide you a lot of statistical information on residential side that overflows and backs into the commercial side, and they're telling you correct. The houses on the market today versus what they were a year ago is drastically more houses on the market. The sales of new homes is drastically down over the last 12 months. The sale of existing homes is drastically down over the last year. I'm telling you, y'all need to think about what you're doing, because as important as the funds are, you're hurting yourself if you don't get them right. And talking about the other municipalities, okay, they haven't updated theirs. Has anybody thought about taking theirs and putting a reasonable annual increase on them and see where they would be, and then compared to what you're talking about doing here? But again, the worst thing I saw that was completely out of line is your gasoline and convenience stores. That a 7.5% to 12.5% increase, they'll go somewhere else. They don't need us that bad. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
They can't justify the cost.
Yep. Thank you, Jim. I believe it was based on the number of pumps, though, correct? So if
Yeah,
it
you
was
just
truly
saw
a convenience store without any pumps, yeah, that's actually a fair point. I don't know, Mr. Spar, if you can speak to that. That you don't drive way out of your way to get a gas station. You hit it on the way home. So I think that's a fair point. If we can speak to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the trip calculations that are included in the overall calculation of the basically cost per trip generated by each use does take into account those pass-by trips. So for convenience center, gas station, for instance, each of those is reduced by a factor of either 56% or 75% for most of them. So only 25% of the trips are considered new trips in that calculation. 25%. And that's about the best rate you get with any use in the Institute of Transportation Engineers Trip Generation Manual is built on years and years of data. And so I think that's one of the two highest uses, next to coffee station with drive-through and no indoor seating.
And again, those going to the coffee shop, they're going to work or they're coming home.
Correct.
They're not new trips. They
Almost
already are on the street.
the vast majority of them, yes.
I'm sorry, if you're going to speak, only because there's people online that want to be able to hear and they can't hear you, sir. I'm so sorry. I will, if you want to, you're welcome to keep speaking. I just know the need to hear you. I will say that I know that myself and Mr. Fuller has heard this. I know our elected officials. There's actually a large number of citizens that are like, can we even would the commission consider a moratorium on car washes and gas stations? Because they seem to be popping up. So I understand you, but there's also other constituents of the city that are sharing, concerns with that as well. So I just want you to know, no one's advocating for that. We hear that on a regular basis from the community.
Based on a national gasoline and convenience store chain that I've worked with for several years, they told me that I would not be able to find a traffic study that would indicate any kind of trips that would come close to reflecting these kind of impact fees. I don't know. I've not seen the manual you're talking about.
Yeah.
But
yeah, please.
But it may be there. But take into consideration, you might not think the car wash needs to be here, but do you think that the car wash did not do a study in their mind, have a market study done to determine that it would justify the car wash for them to make a large investment like that? Do you think a national gasoline and convenience store would come in here and go on any location without doing a market study to determine that it was economically feasible for them to locate a $6 million, not $600,000, a $6 million investment in the city and pay the merchant's tax, pay the city tax, pay the ad valorem tax, pay the gasoline per gallon tax? If you add it all up, you might find that it would be equal to about $1 million in revenue to the city in what they would do a year, bring into the city a year. So I've been told.
Thanks, Jim. And just to touch on that for a moment, because this is built on data, the ordinance includes an option to provide data justifying a reduction to the impact fee. So if a developer, if a user has data that says 95% of our trips are pass-by trips, they're not new trips, or we generate, instead of 345 trips per fueling position, we only generate 208. There's an option to reduce the impact fee in connection with that data. It just has to be data backed, and it has to be justified and signed and sealed by a professional engineer, I believe. It's in the ordinance, yeah.
Yes, sir.
I got the last thing to say and I'll go home.
You don't have to go home, Mr. Sims. Go ahead.
Jim, I wish I'd have stayed in the gas station business now. He and I finished high school together. He didn't want me to tell you that. It's not just that. It's the Publix at 390 and 231 was in the county. Publix came to the county and asked them, and they said to them, if you will put in the traffic light and you will pave the roads going in, the turn lanes and all that, we'll build the Publix store there. And they said no. And then they came to the city, and the city did it for them. They annexed into the city. So it's how you spend our money, too. I don't think that the city should spend my money or your money or anybody's money to help somebody else in business. And that's exactly what you do when you did that up there. And the city did that.
I think we agree. That was the point I was trying to make earlier, that I don't think the general fund should be supporting development.
I agree with you 100%.
Okay.
And there's a great example that just happened, not just shortly up there, that the city did that. But y'all got took. Publix would have built that sucker anyway.
That was before my time. I can't speak to the specifics. I know we're glad to have Publix up there now, and any agreements that the city made, we will honor.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yep.
I go. Good night.
Yes, sir.
I'm about to hear.
One more statement. Get my train of thought.
Bill, right?
A few years ago, the county paid a company out of Washington State $200,000 to come in here and access a impact fee. And then they come up with this astronomical fee that they was going to charge the contractors. That lasted about 6 months, and then the county dropped it back to $600, $623. And that was for the parks and the library and all of this stuff. But this is just, it might come back to bite you, because people can't afford these impact fees. These developers have to pay all these fees. They pay the roads, they put in the water, they put in the sewer. The city don't do that. They have to put it in, and then they take over. But just put that in your thoughts. All this work that we're doing, it could come back and bite you hard.
Thank you, Bill. I just want to be clear, was that a transportation impact fee, or was that maybe a utility impact
That
fee?
was the impact fee for new construction. They put all kind of impact fees on gas stations and all this stuff. This was back in the old city hall. I was there, and I told the people at that time, I says, with impact fees and taxes and insurance, you're going to kill the goose that's laid this golden egg. There's very few of the small contractors that's still in business because of all these fees that the municipalities are charging. They don't understand what we have to go through. And this is the point that everybody's trying to tell y'all. We've been here all of our lives. Most of y'all haven't. And we don't want to see the city of Panama City go down. Thank you.
I've been here almost my whole life. My family's been here 100 years. So last thing I want to do is hurt Panama City. So, yep.
Mr. Hayes, you don't look 100 years old to me. Good morning.
No,
Or good
I appreciate
afternoon.
it. I'm not Mr. Young.
Ed Young. Just a quick question. I'm just curious.
Yes, sir.
We've been reviewing and studying this with the company for 12 months. I'm just curious, what's the current cost to the city for this study? And what's the expected final cost? And from which pocket did it come from?
I don't necessarily know the final cost, but
I'll just take a rough estimate.
where
80,000.
80,000,
in this general fund?
Yeah.
Yep.
general fund.
Yes, sir.
And general fund is ad valorem mainly?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You want me to walk through the changes?
Yep. So we're going to walk through the changes. Hey, Jerome,
Jerome, can you go to page
can you zoom a little bit? Will it let you zoom a little bit without clipping it, sir? I'm not 100 years old, but my eyes feel like it. So, oh, that's much better.
Can you go to page 5 of that, Jerome? Let's see. Keep going. Next page. Wait. This, for some reason, doesn't show the red line changes.
Well, I
but
think it's we, need
we
to
can
do
start
all
there,
mark.
though. Yeah, you can
you
you
do
can
all
start there. I'm looking at look at section 113A-6.
Not that.
You made it smaller. There you go. Now I can't see the numbers on it though, but maybe one time down. All right, and then go to a next page, and then one more page, right there. If you see, and on that screen up there, I'm looking, which is going to be on the right side over here. You'll see the red lines that are next to the numbers. So look at number 3.
And the red line just means something in that section's been changed.
Been changed, yeah. So in number 3, that is where we added the construction of accessory dwelling units pursuant to section 110-3, which are less than 1,200 square feet. These are all exemptions. These folks will not pay an impact fee on these particular ones. The accessory dwelling units, those are, we used to call them granny flats or garage apartments, those kind of things. They're intended, they actually have a specific name in Florida statutes, and they're really intended for like mother-in-law suites, I guess is the better way to call them. So mother-in-law suites, those sorts of things would be exempt up to 1,200 square feet. Then the next paragraph, number 4, we added into that language development order right after zoning approval. We added development order or building permit prior to the effective date of this chapter. And so when the ordinance gets adopted, we'll insert the effective date. If you have any zoning approval, a development order or a building permit, plat, et cetera, prior to that date, then that will be exempt from the collection of the impact fee. The next, go down to, if you look at number 6, is really just talking about essential public services. So public projects do not have to pay the impact fee.
You got a comment, Rich? Go ahead, sir.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, no,
Yeah.
you're reading.
I want to comment on the Rich Hart, D.R. Horton, on the specific place you are right here in reference to the DO. My fear is that anything in the DO process could get slowed down so that the fee is kicked in. So I don't know if it makes sense to say, hey, anything with the DO in process, but my fear is that everything is in the process and then we'll just wait all the way till it's executed and then, oh, sorry, you didn't make the cut. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And there are provisions in here too that allow the director.
Okay.
Vincent talked about them earlier, where you can come in and say, wait a minute, I was on day 38.
Right.
You adopted
Kicked it
on,
back.
yeah.
Right. Okay.
And you adopted it on day 40 and, wasn't I really in the process?
Okay.
So the ordinance does provide for a human eyes to take a look at these things and say, for instance, the example that Jim was given earlier about gas stations, well, wait a minute.
Fair enough.
We can do alternate reductions or alternate calculations. So it's not absolutely set in stone. It does give some grace, so to speak. But that's a good point, Rich. I mean, the idea to try to play catch you or gotcha rather. It's to get it in there. Okay. Number 7 is the construction of a dwelling unit less than 2,400 square feet on a lot that existed prior to the effective date of this ordinance. So those are already platted lots. The intent being there that those are, if it's a platted lot, it was already calculated really within the impact fee. Correct. Yes, sir. And that's in the other part of the ordinance. It's the heated and cooled. It's not under roof. It's heated and cooled. Anyway, that was the missing middle that Brian Knox was talking about earlier to encourage what Florida statute would not call affordable housing, but we sometimes refer to as attainable housing. That's the reason for that. That's where Brian suggested that should be exempt for any new lot within the order. That's not included here. Number 8 is the reconstruction of a dwelling unit on a lot that existed prior to the effective date of the ordinance, or which has previously paid the impact fee, gets a credit up to the amount of the fee assessed, or which would be assessed for the square footage of the previously existing dwelling unit. In order to qualify for this exemption, the newly constructed dwelling unit must begin construction within 36 months of the demolition or destruction of the prior dwelling unit. The idea there is we don't want you to go and demolish and then just sit on it, because we're trying to encourage you to reconstruct on the property. And so that's an incentive to get you, the 36 months is an incentive to get you to go ahead and put it back. And that is for somewhere where you've got an existing home on that property and you demolish it to rebuild something else. That's not just.
Yep, please do. Just come to the mic. Thanks, Kurt.
So just a question on that. Can that 36 months be based on when the demolition permit was made for the house? Because there's some lots now that do not have a house on them. The house has been demolished right after Michael.
That's going to be an existing lot.
That's an existing lot,
That's
but
an
there's no house on it now, but it's been 36 months more since.
Yeah, no, that's exempt already. That's exempt because it's an
Okay,
existing
so that's gonna
lot.
be exempt already.
As long as you're you're going to have to come in and prove that you had a 3,000 square foot home on that lot prior to Michael, and it's been demolished, but it's an existing lot. You'll be able then to get your credit for that. This is today's world.
Okay.
You go and demolish an existing
Well,
home.
and again, that's me when I'm saying, would it be simple just to base the 36 months from the date that the demolition permit was issued?
Yeah, well, or when maybe you wait 6 months to take it down, though, right?
Well,
so wouldn't you rather it be the day that you can prove that
okay.
the lot was?
Well, you
blank?
answered my question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anybody else on that particular one? No. Construction of affordable housing is defined by the State Housing Initiative Partnership Act. That's chapter 420. That is, that's what you typically think of as affordable housing, and that's provided for in statute to be able to exempt that. A lot of those guys by statute are already exempt from, depending on the type of affordable housing they build. So we're really kind of restating state law there. In reductions, this goes to your commercial development. Really, was the intention of the change there was that if you demolish, it applies anywhere, but the idea was we wanted to make sure that we also caught commercial development. So if you take down a 10,000 square foot building on a street somewhere, similar to what we just talked about with Kurt there, you're going to have 36 months from the time that you do that in order to build back your structure, and you'll maintain your credit for your fees on that. And that's for a structure now that has been, it's existing today before the date of the ordinance. Now you take it down. We want you to put it back up because we want to see development. The fees, maybe go to the next page. Oh, you did? Oh, I'm sorry. Go back. Thank you, Vince. I didn't know I had a clicker next to me. So. 113A-7 says that beginning October 1, which is the beginning of the next fiscal year, is when the impact fees will begun to be collected. That's different than the effective date of the ordinance. That's the date that you'll actually be. So if this were adopted today, you would not collect fees until October 1st of this year.
So what do you, I'm sorry.
Yeah, come on.
Yep.
So if you have a home that is needing to be permitted, then they would get permitted and it wouldn't get charged, the fee.
If you did it
Prior to
September
October
29th and you got a permit on it, you're not going to pay a fee on it.
Prior to October 1.
Yeah, I see your head turning there. You're welcome.
Hey, Mike, question?
Yeah, certainly.
Talking about the commercial development in Panama City proper. Say, for example, that somebody wants to remodel an office building. Right now it's a general retail. It's got a $20,000, actually in Panama City proper, it's a $12,000 impact fee. What if they want to change that into a clinic? Okay, it's going to be same square footage, but the clinic actually has less traffic impact than that the general retail would. So would there still be a impact fee for that remodeled office building? Because there's less of an impact for that than there was for the store that was in there originally.
So I'd assume it's still tied to the 36-month,
Yes.
tied. But if you are generating fewer trips, you would not pay an impact fee.
They'd not pay. So commercial remodeling could be done without the impact fee if you fall into those parameters.
Yep.
Okay.
And then similar to what we said earlier is if you for some reason your client believes that the trips for whatever they're doing are less than what the bare schedule tells us, then you just bring the data to us, we review it, and we'll tell you, okay, we agree with you. There's a reduction in that fee that you're only 50 trips instead of 100 trips.
And I'll just add again, with any of these, if the commission has flexibility to effectuate policy and make changes if they want to encourage development of daycares, of gas stations. If they do want to encourage that and more car washes, they can choose to do that. And then that can be negotiated. Ultimately, it'd be their decision, but through a developer's agreement to that end. So there still is flexibility.
The next one is going to be on 113A-9. So go maybe one more, maybe one right there.
Credits. Yep.
Okay. Go one more. We're looking for letter C. There you go. See the red line there. This came out of the round table as well regarding lot splits. And so if you've got a 100-foot lot that's already existing, it was a platted lot. I don't know how many 100-foot platted lots, but let's assume there's a 100-foot platted lot somewhere, and you want to divide that into two lots. That 100-foot lot may have already had the credit on it for the 2,400 square feet on it. So now you've got two of them. What this section does here is it allows that credit to be applied to both lots. Not the full credit. You'll divide the credit. So if it's I'll use a round number because I'm a lawyer, I can't add. If it's $1,000 on that was existing on the 100-foot lot, and now you've got 250-foot lots, you're going to pay $30 a piece for that lot. I told you I'm a lawyer. You're going to pay $500 for each lot on there. Okay, so it'll be split in half and to be applied to both of them. Likewise, there are times when we have. This didn't necessarily come out of the round table, but it sparked my recollection that we have lots of times we've got maybe 2 50-foot lots that somebody has built a home across, a larger home on that piece of property, and now they've taken the home down, and instead of putting it back on those 2 lots, they're going to put it back. They're going to sell the 2 lots. Same thing. If they had a 3,000 square foot home across those 2 lots, and you demolish that 3,000 square foot home, but you're going to build back 2 2,400 square foot homes, or I guess a better example would maybe 3,000 square foot homes on each one, you're going to get credit for the 3,000 divided across those 2 lots. So that those existing lots are going to have the credit that they would have had before. Follow me? I see, Garrett, you look like I confused, which I can do.
I'm really not.
Yeah, okay. You're going to get it if you undo if you've taken 2 lots and built 1 home on them, and now you're going to go sell 2 lots. Now you're going to get the credit as well. It wasn't that way in just the plain lot split language. So we're trying to capture any time that an existing lot is used.
Yep, it's good. Hang on, we got.
Michael Hodges.
Yes, sir.
I know the last meeting, there was a lot of talk about credits. I think I listened about 26 times credits was mentioned, but it was never explained what it was. So we got to be very careful about credits. And that thing you just talked about, dividing credits between lots, that could be dangerous because you don't know when they're going to build. It could be.
And we talked about that administrative. That's an administrative nightmare.
Who keeps track of that credit? Does it go with the sale? Is it recorded with the deed? Or does the planning department have to keep track of it? Are they going to get sued down the road because they didn't give the credit? Wouldn't it be a whole lot easier to put it on one lot?
Two things. Well, so who gets it then, right? 2 things are going to happen there. You're going to have we talked about this with staff about the administrative nightmare. That was an initial question. How are you going to track it? The software that we are currently using would allow you to be able to track that. That wouldn't be a problem. Additionally, you're going to have the homeowner or whoever had that lot to begin with is going to have some record of the fact that they have split that lot and that it was already entitled to a credit. So it may be sometime that while we may not have it on our records, the homeowner, whomever is trying to obtain the credit, can come in and show, hey, no, I did have this.
So that goes kind of back to the credit thing. We're talking about the credit, we're talking about the way these payments are made, and it was brought up before about the timing and development orders. That's going to be another big bottleneck because every time you've got an existing lot, there's going to be a discussion about, is there a credit? May there be a credit? All these other issues could come up. Every one could really spend a lot of time, wasted time, on processing a development order. Especially if we got credit split between multiple lots that are not being developed at the same time. That's going to be a nightmare. And when your word to software, that's not a good way to keep track.
What's your recommendation?
Well,
I was just going to say
the recommendations, especially on a lot split, is put it on one lot. You're done with it. You're getting the same credit.
How do we? But I still got to track it on that one lot.
No, you don't have to track it.
Yeah, I do.
Well, maybe you got to track it on one, but the owner of the one lot would know a lot easier. I mean, that doesn't matter. It's just I'm just seeing a big nightmare and a lot of work for staff that's already got a lot of work to do, for no reason. So we look like we're hiring more staff just to take care of these problems. And the other thing I want to say about credits is, it was mentioned many times about doing work on road out off-site. That could be a credit. Again, that's going to be a lot of time brought in. We got, what may have been done and what applies. It needs to be very clear what can be applicable, because if you just say off-site traffic-related credits, that's driveway and sidewalk, because they're both off-site and they're both traffic-related. So that's got to be very clear what that means.
And that's an industry standard as to what all that's going to be. I mean, a sidewalk and a driveway are not going to be capacity improvements or transport.
I understand, but that was not relayed, it was not clear what would a credit could be applied. Is that going to be in the ordinance? Or is that going to be a case-by-case basis?
No, it's if you're required to make those developments and they are capacity improvements. The expectation really is that you're not going to be doing those things now because it's going to be
Exactly,
handled by
but
this
if
ordinance,
someone
right?
does a partial or does something, they're supposed to get credit for what we was told in the last meeting.
Paul Sims gave an example of the Publix.
Right.
Right. That would be the idea of if Publix had built that public road that was going through there.
Or traffic
that
signal,
would
or
be,
sidewalk, or
that's
bike
an
path.
example
Yeah,
of
exactly.
because it's getting traffic off of 390.
I understand that. What I'm trying to get at is the bog down of a development order. When a developer says, I did this, don't I get credit? And then we get the argument about, no, that it's not clear.
Yeah, we would want to, that would need to be addressed on the front end. We
Right.
would not, yeah.
Yeah.
We would not want to, we would not want to debate that in the.
Exactly.
after the
That's what I
DO's
mean.
been issued.
That's another
Right.
section of that development order process is trying to determine. So it's really a negotiation for each one. It's
If
not going
there's
to be a
On
cut
a
and
larger
dry.
development,
extent, yeah.
yeah, I would say, on a larger development, I would agree.
So, because that's what I was told, it would not be a negotiation. Now, somebody said that, and I think it was you, said we're not going to negotiate each one at the last meeting.
Yeah, I
But
don't recall.
it sounds
saying
like
that.
that's the
That
only
doesn't
way it
mean I
can
didn't say that. So, I mean, it depends. I mean, every person coming to get a DO from the
Yeah.
city has a right to
Absolutely.
to submit, you know, a alternative concept and alternative consideration
Okay.
for both staff, the planning board, and the commission to ultimately consider.
The last thing I wanted to clarify was what this money can be spent for. Strictly traffic-related, off-site, or capacity-related, is that right? On city roads, is that right?
We'll let Vincent give the definition of that.
Capacity improvements.
On city streets?
I don't know, Michael, if that's
No.
It's
specified.
It can be any kind bike lanes.
Well, on city, or city.
City
Yeah,
streets.
no.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it can be.
Yeah.
The reason I bring that up is, Jonathan, you made the mention of Star Avenue.
Yeah. So no,
This money cannot go to Star Avenue, is that
Yeah.
right?
No, I think we need to get clarity on that because we have a lot of roads in and around Panama City North that are
That's-
county roads.
that's the
And so
reason
my
I-
understanding is that we can.
Oh, that's the question. I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
understand your question.
Yes, we can go with the county and say, hey, here's the traffic study. This is a development coming into Panama City, but a portion of it, whether it be the south side, east side, north side, is coming out onto a county road. This is a real life example.
Exactly. Every day is going to be a real
And
life
we
example.
and we built a turn lane into the Liberty subdivision.
Okay.
We added a turn lane and for each ways and all of that. So yes, I mean if there's a restriction that I can only use this on city roads, then I don't understand that. I think I have flexibility to improve any roads that would benefit the city of Panama
That's the
City
reason I
and
brought
its
this question.
businesses.
I was told it only applied to city roads, and every
Yeah, we
time,
need to get
everything I
clarity
could
on
think
that.
of was a turn lane coming off of a county road, and I was like, that didn't make
I
sense.
mean, the county would probably gladly give me those roads.
Right.
but-
Yeah. I misunderstood what you were asking. I'm sorry. I
Great,
didn't
great
mean to
points.
confuse
Thank you,
that.
Scooter.
Yeah.
A couple things again. Just to Scooter's point, I think we talked about it, Michael, at the roundtable. If we split a lot, isn't it just easier just to keep the lot of record address exempt, and then the new lot, the new address being
That
created
is, Kurt's right. That's what we said.
would be the one that would get the impact fee? Why split it? Why do the record keeping that way? Just a new lot or a new address has been created would be the one who would have to pay the impact fee. The existing lot, the existing address would just be exempt.
Do you think that's the solution?
I'm just,
Okay.
I just-
I mean, Scooter's saying
I
no.
understand. No,
It's a lot better than trying to, I think, do
Yeah.
the split and try to keep record keeping of which
Yeah.
one gets.
But you're going to have them both. You're going to have both of them right there.
I just,
Yeah.
we talked about it at the round table,
No, you-
and Michael even brought it up,
That-
well, that it should be the one that
Yeah.
has the existing
Where
address.
It's the new address.
No, I disagreed then too. But you know, I'm not the guy that has to.
Yeah.
I'm not the guy that
Understood.
has to administer it. So I'll let the folks that are the professionals decide how they want to do
And the
that.
second point that Scooter made, and maybe we can move up to 11310, because I had a question about the facilities.
Well, are you done with 113?
Yeah.
Or if we can go back.
The last thing was we added the appeal section, but no, we can go back.
All right, 113-10.
Yeah, 'cause one of my questions was when you had facilities listed on there. 10A, what I have, 13, number one at that point was public utilities, so was public facilities and public facility capital costs.
I'm not. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, that was on the
I'm trying to.
The one that we got at the round table,
it's on the right
I've
side.
got that ordinance that has it listed. Well, that's what I just wanted. Facilities, are they structures or are those infrastructure? Like, but the one we had at the
Oh,
round table had that on there.
You're looking at number one? Public facilities and public facility capital costs,
Yes.
including
So-
projects improvements related to accessibility pursuant to the requirements of the ADA.
Right, and down below it just says that the funds states impact fees must be solely used for capacity improvements. So what are the facilities we're talking about? Is Scooter right? Are they, underground is done on a separate impact fee, correct?
Correct.
So what are these facilities that we're talking about?
Yeah, so it would be roads, it would be adding lanes, adding turn lanes, adding sidewalks, adding bike lanes.
But those
types
are
of-
called facilities. Then in this,
Traffic's a full traffic signal intersection, those would all be considered facilities.
okay, so the street lights, stoplights would be facilities.
I mean, that's part of increasing
Okay,
capacity.
just for
Yeah.
clarification, because to me, a facility sounds like it's a building structure.
No, no.
Oh, no.
It would be to support like an intersection where you do need traffic signals, you need lighting, you need appropriate sidewalks, pedestrian crosswalks,
Okay.
et cetera.
That's
Yes,
just
sir.
one clarification I wanted.
Sidewalk, street.
That's how I take it.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Facility meaning an improvement, just
Yep. Great question, Kurt.
an
Thank you.
improvement, yeah.
I'd like to ask one more question or two. Taking the credits and flipping it back to the commercial side, if you were required by city and or DOT to our county to put in a decel lane or an acel lane, would that apply toward some credit?
If it's a capacity improvement, so if it's improving the capacity of the roadway, and I'll let the engineer say if every turn lane is a capacity improvement, or is it really just access into a property?
Yeah,
So-
traditionally, access improvements, including ingress turn lanes into your actual site, are not considered off-site improvements. If you put in or extend a turn lane at a signal down the street to accommodate project traffic, that would be considered off-site and
Wait a
would be
minute,
creditable.
Are you saying that if somebody is putting a driveway into a office building, gasoline, convenience store, doctor's office, whatever it is, and it planning and DOT, county, whoever requires a decel lane or a acel lane into that property, that don't count?
Correct.
Really?
Those are access improvements. Those are safety mandated. Those are not capacity improvements.
I don't think that works, guys.
That's how it works all around the state.
If you voted in.
How does it work with going back to all around the state, FDOT?
Yep. Sorry, we just have people online. Yep.
Gotcha.
Thanks, Jim.
How does it work with FDOT and the proportionate fair share in relationship to the FDOT proportionate fair share? How does that work on the commercial side? I don't think theirs works that way.
I don't follow the question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not following either, sir. Could you try to clarify?
The FDOT has a proportionate fair share that the developer has to pay to accommodate these improvements, access improvements, maybe decel lane, ASL lane, or could be a traffic light or other improvements in that immediate area, and they get credit for those unless the ordinance is changed from FDOT, proportionate fair share. I don't understand why that would not be given a credit. I can't even understand it. Why would you require somebody to put in a decel lane or ACL lane?
For safety.
It's a difference you're talking about a safety, getting people safely into your gas station or whatever and safely out of the gas station. That's what that lane, that's immediately in front of your property, right? That's a safety. That's a big difference between the fact that now we've got 100 more cars coming onto the roadway as new vehicles, and now we need to go from one lane to two lanes.
So we're saying that safety is one thing and transportation impact is another.
Correct.
There's
is capacity.
access. Yeah, there's access versus capacity. But that argument could, again, there still is flexibility that it's still the opportunity exists that if you want to say, listen, I am being required to do this by the county or this from the state, but it's into city property, you can bring that forward, and the planning board and staff and the commission can consider that and provide that. There's flexibility. So, all right.
That was we got
Yep.
through all the changes there, Rich.
All right. For the whole document?
Yes.
Okay.
What we did, the ordinance, if you guys get a copy of what's going to be adopted by the commission, you're going to see a bunch of strikeouts. That's the proportionate fair share. We're not doing that anymore. We're getting rid of proportionate fair share. And so we're going to an impact fee that is, it's actually a better model than what the proportionate fair share. It never really worked. So what you're looking at here was just an easier version for us to look at. So it's going to look a little bit different.
Yeah.
Same words, just a little bit different from that.
Good afternoon again, Rich Hart, D.R. Horton. I think Chase, he's left already, but he did bring up the cost of the impact fees versus the average cost of sales prices. We actually had some time this week. Christine was able to put together what the average sales prices are in the surrounding areas compared to the impact fees of the surrounding areas. And we are heavily lopsided. And I'll go back to Michael's point here. And I have a chart, but I won't go through every number here. But if we were just speaking specifically of Walton County's is what, and this sheet's coming from Kimberly Horn's traffic study on page 10, table 7. It's showing in Walton County the impact fees, which does not include the mobility fees, around $385. And their average sales price there is $636,000, and it keeps going down. Most of the impact fees from Callaway, Destin, Levi County, Santa Rosa County are around anywhere from $1,100 to $1,400, and the sales prices are going anywhere from about this is $298 in Callaway, $615,000 in Destin, as you would imagine. And of course, down here in Gulf County, they're around $445,000, and they don't even have any impact fees and mobility fees in Gulf County. So I think what Michael is saying, we're coming up on the raw end of this stick, mainly because the other municipalities have not produced a study recently, and if they do, and when they do, they're going to have higher cost from the cost of the roads that were built. So if you look at the study, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Vincent, one of the main things in the study that's showing where the cost comes from is the cost of the roads that were built around our area. So because COVID hit, pipe went up and all the other material skyrocketed, so therefore our impact fees are going to skyrocket because to build the road is now at a much higher price. Now, one thing you did mention, Michael, that we need to look at the human eye, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that's one thing that's missing from this study, is that we have the data, we have the information and the cost that goes, and that's coming from the roads that are being built, but we're missing one key element, which is the cost of living around our area. And I don't feel like the cost of living in our area, when we have a median house at $329 or $248 to $329, constitutes the highest impact fees in the area, averaging about $5,000, rounding up as attorneys do as well. So I think we really need to use our human eye, and I'm glad you brought that up, Mr. Burke, because our human eye is missing from this data, and the timing of which we're trying to implement it is just not conducive at the right time, or where the economy is and where our people are right now. And I think we need to just use our human eye on this. We can have the data where maybe we divide that data and say, as of right now, maybe 5,000 is too much. Let's do 3, let's do 2, or let's use something else different from what the data is saying.
Yep. Look, I was going to say, so, yeah, one potential option, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I was going to say the point that you're making there, Rich, is that the data that we have used is what we have to use. That's the rational nexus. We've got to look at what the cost is, what the analysis is. That's what we spent all this time and effort with Kimberly Horn to do that. And so the numbers bear out to be what they are. And we've made some adjustments by doing the credits. Now, if that's what you're really asking for is a policy decision to be made, which I don't think is what our job is up here, right? Our job is to wordsmith it with you all. And then if you want to convince the commission that, you know what, y'all need to drop it by whatever you wanted to drop it to, then that's your job to do that. But the study itself has to be based on these numbers. And the other point you made too was all those guys that had those lower fees and with those higher, Walton, Okaloosa, Destin, and all that stuff, those studies are much older. I mean, ours is a new study, and we're suffering the cost of it. Yep. Yeah. Go ahead, Kurt.
Just follow up on Rich said, as the BBIA, we would really appreciate if we could delay this again and not even present it to the commission on March 24th. We are going to certainly get a hold of the commissioners and try to get them to delay the vote or just not even put it on the docket.
March 25th.
March
not
25th.
24th.
Okay,
I want
March
to
25th.
make sure you have the right date,
Okay,
March 25th.
I was thinking the 24th, Phil. But thank you, Jonathan. But yeah, and I agree with Rich. We look at the economy, look what's going on now. Look at they talked about Jim talking about the months or the days that the average house is on the market now. Right now, the construction industry is hurting because of the economy. People are not going into new homes. So why are we going to add more expense to the housing market when it's already difficult for people to get into housing? Can we delay this this study, like we talked about, doesn't have to be implemented right away. We don't have a timetable that it has to be done. We don't have that 1 year timetable to worry about.
We do have a little
We do
bit
have a
of-
reasonable.
Well, a reasonable time, and
Yes,
we
we
talked
do.
about that, but it's not that 1 year timetable.
We're not strictly 1 year.
And that's why we were hoping we could move it off of March 25th and kick it down the road a little bit farther so we could have even more discussions and look at some more options and possibilities. A lot of good points were brought up here today. Can this be amended a little bit differently yet? Is there still room for some amendments, some changes that could be done to make this more palatable to people? I mean, that are in the construction industry and in the real estate business.
The answer is yes, absolutely. I mean, ultimately, we'll make a recommendation to the commission, and it will be their decision. And I have meetings every week with all 5 of them, and so I know that I'm going to get asked questions about this, and so. I know one other possibility, and I can't remember if this came up in a staff meeting or if it was maybe at the roundtable, but we could also potentially look at a phased approach. So maybe year 1 is 25%, year 2 is 50%, year 3 is 75%, year 4 is then the 100%. That could be something if there's
something like that, Jonathan, would be much more acceptable.
Okay.
To doing something like that and because we got something you could even address after a year, saying, you know what, the economy's still bad, we're still not seeing it. Let's kick it down another year.
50% is year 3.
That's
instead of
keeping
year
those
2.
fees reduced to a certain extent. And okay,
Let me ask my attorney. So if we implement the ordinance and it's the 25, 50, 75, 100% phasing, and as we get, let's say we get close to September of 2026, and we want to delay that another year, I mean, that would simply come back and it'd have to be a first reading and a second reading to amend the ordinance, correct? Or would it just be one meeting with a resolution? I think it'd be 2 meetings with the ordinance.
The mechanics of it. The answer is the commission.
They can do it.
Commission could do it.
Someone I forget who it was. Mentioned, what about Hurricane Michael? Well, in those instances, there are lots of times when that's probably a bad example, but in a natural disaster, there were lots of ordinances that the city commission decided, hey, right now we're not going to force us, so we're going to hold those.
Okay.
Likewise, there have been times when the economy has been in the tank, and commissions across the state have said, "Hey, we're gonna pause collecting certain fees right now, and we'll pick those back up at another time." I mean, so there's total flexibility about that.
Well, I think we'd all appreciate seeing that option on the table.
Yep.
That just exists in their life as commissioners. We don't need to write that into the ordinance.
Okay.
They can do it anytime they want to. I mean, that's just.
Now the automatic 25, 50, 75.
That would have to be in.
Yeah,
they could come back at
But they
any
could come back
point
and do it.
and modify that. Absolutely. That's their right.
Thank you.
Yep. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir. I have to have you go to them only because there's people online that are watching.
Did Bill Pitts, did any of the conversation that has transpired in the last hour here open any of the board's eyes to what the problems are?
Well, first off, I just want to be clear, we're not a board. We don't have any authority.
Whatever.
We're staff. So
Staff.
Words do matter. So I just want to be clear, we're not the board. So yes, I've welcomed lots of different perspectives, but I think Mr. Sims made a good point on his way out.
That's right.
Using Publix. And, in his view, the general fund should not have paid that.
Right.
But that's what we're proposing here with these. That's where I think there's a disconnect. If we have development expansion in Panama City North, where we're going to see most of this expansion, who should pay for those new roads, for those new turn lanes, for those new traffic signals? That's my question. That's the challenge that we're faced with.
In the past, the developers do. And then, but what the other municipalities do, we go in and put in the infrastructure, and then they could, just like the thing off of 388, they put in the infrastructure, and the county is still hitting the impact fees out there, and it just eats you up. And this is what I'm trying to say. I just hope that we open some of your eyes to the problems that actually exist, not what you've been told.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Bill. Anybody from the chamber? No? Anybody from CPAR? I just want to make sure we give the opportunity for the big groups that were involved to speak up.
I'll just, I'm Patrick with the Chamber. Just echo Kurt's comments. And we have a Government Affairs Committee meeting in the morning, so we're digesting all this. Certainly, we appreciate everything. And really, I can tell that you all are genuine in your willingness to have a dialogue. So we really appreciate it. I think the timing is certainly pressing. But we'll come back to you for sure. Just want to thank you for your cooperation and support of the process.
Thank you, Patrick, very much. All right. Anybody else for the good of the order? All right. Thank you all so much for coming out. We really appreciate it. Have a good evening.